Artificial intelligence. Look, it's everywhere, right? It's the two words on everyone's lips, promising to completely remake our world. But is it a genuine revolution in thinking machines, or is it just a massive tidal wave of hype? Let's figure it out.
All right, so let's just cut through all of that noise and ask the big question. What is AI really? I mean, beyond the flashy headlines and all the sci-fi stuff, what are we actually talking about when we say AI?
Are we really looking at the dawn of a new age, the next generation of computers that can actually learn? Or is this whole thing, as some critics are saying, just vaporware and a whole lot of endless hype? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down, from the absolute basics to the wild future everyone's talking about. Okay, first up, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of how this stuff actually works.
At its very core, AI is really just a system. It combines software, hardware, and, most importantly, massive, robust datasets. And listen, that last part, the data, is everything. It is absolutely crucial. You can have the most brilliant code on the planet, but if you feed it garbage data, guess what? You get a garbage AI. It's as simple as that.
You know, the easiest way to wrap your head around all the jargon is to think of those Russian nesting dolls. AI is the biggest doll. You open it up, and inside you find machine learning. You open that one up and you find deep learning, which is built on something called neural networks. It's a perfect way to picture how all these ideas fit together.
Okay, so let's break that down just a little bit more. A neural net is a very specific type of program, and it's designed to kind of mimic the structure of a human brain. But AI is the much broader concept, and the real dividing line, the thing that really matters, is the ability to learn. Because, an AI that can't learn isn't very intelligent now, is it?
And this just perfectly illustrates the point. It's fantastic. The relationship here is way more complex than just stacking blocks on top of each other. And AI isn't just a bunch of neural nets smashed together. I love this analogy. That's like thinking a Charizard is just three Charmanders standing on each other's shoulders in a trench coat. No, it's a fundamental transformation, not just stacking more of the same thing.
So that's the big question, right? How does an AI actually get smarter? Well, that whole process is called machine learning. This is where the real magic happens. It's how the system refines what it does, corrects its own mistakes, and gets better over time, usually through some kind of feedback loop.
And that feedback loop, it's basically this little two-step dance. First, you have feed forward. That's simple. Data just flows straight through the network, from the beginning to the end. But the real learning, the smart part, happens in back-propagation. That's when the system sends a message backward through the network, basically telling the earlier parts, hey, you messed that up, try adjusting this a little. It's a system for learning from its own mistakes.
Okay, if that's still a little abstract, here's an amazing way to picture it. Imagine the AI is trying to find the best answer, and that's like trying to roll a marble to the lowest point on a giant, hilly map of possibilities. Feed-forward is the marble rolling downhill, but back-propagation is what allows the AI to actually reshape the map itself, to carve new, better paths so the marble finds an even deeper valley the next time.
All right, so now that we've got that foundation down, let's talk about the kind of AI that has just completely blown up the public conversation, generative AI.
Now, the engine running behind most of these tools you've heard about is the large language model, or LLM. These things are incredibly complex. They're trained on, and I mean this, truly mind-boggling amounts of data. Things like the Common Crawl, which is basically a giant snapshot of the public internet. And they learn from all of that just to do one thing really well: predict the next word in a sentence and generate text that sounds like a human wrote it.
And that brings us to generative AI. The key word, of course, is generative. This isn't about just analyzing data anymore. It's about creating something brand new. You give it a prompt, and it can generate text, images, music, even video that has never existed before.
And man, this field is getting crowded with some serious heavy hitters. You've got OpenAI, of course, with ChatGPT and its custom GPT store. Microsoft's Copilot is being baked right into the Windows operating system. Google's Gemma is really focused on tools for developers. Then you have players like xAI's Grok, which has near real-time access to all the data on X, and Midjourney, which is still an absolute powerhouse for generating images over on Discord. Everybody's trying to carve out their own piece of the pie.
So all this creative power is, it's incredible. But it's not all sunshine and roses. It has some major downsides. So let's look at the real-world impact, the good, the bad, and, well, the slop.
Okay, let's just get to it. This is the question on literally everyone's mind. With all these new tools that can write code, create articles, and generate professional-looking art, is generative AI coming for your job? The short answer?
Maybe.
Well, the risk really seems to depend on what you do for a living. Jobs that involve things like routine writing, analyzing data, or certain kinds of programming are definitely feeling the heat. But roles that require you to physically be somewhere or use your hands with skill or have really complex human interactions, yeah, those seem to be much safer for now.
And that brings us to the quality problem, or more specifically, this digital tsunami of what people are now calling AI slop. It's that low-effort, mediocre, AI-generated junk that's flooding the internet. It often looks pretty good at first glance, but the moment you look closer, it just completely falls apart.
Oh, and I bet you've seen the telltale signs, right? Those weird, uncanny valley moments, like when you spot a seventh finger on a hand, or a face that's kind of smeared like a watercolor painting, or my personal favorite, a person's foot just sort of melting into the animal they're riding. And here's a pro tip if you're trying to spot it. Count the teeth. It's often a dead giveaway.
And look, this isn't just some funny online meme. This stuff has real-world consequences. This completely nonsensical text was actually part of the advertisement for that infamous Willy Wonka event over in the UK. The organizers used AI slop to promote it, and the result was this sad, empty warehouse that ended with kids in tears and lawsuits flying. It's the perfect cautionary tale of how low-quality AI can pollute our real-world experiences and just destroy trust.
So, after all that, the good, the bad, the slop, where is all of this technology actually heading? What's the end game here? Well, the next frontier is something called AGI. AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence. And let me be clear, the leap from the AI we have today to a true AGI it's just massive. Think about it this way. If the AI we have now is like a rowboat, specialized, good for one thing but limited, then AGI is a space plane. We are talking about a system with human-like reasoning and superhuman performance across all kinds of different tasks, not just one. Pop culture has actually given us a pretty good roadmap for what AGI could look like, covering the whole spectrum. On the one hand, you have the ideal, like Data from Star Trek, a powerful, logical, helpful ally. But then you have all the menaces and nemesis, HAL 9000, Skynet, Ultron. Heck, even Data had his evil twin, Lore. It just shows the incredible potential, but also the incredible risk.
And that really brings us to the final and maybe most crucial question of all. As we push to give these systems more and more autonomy, maybe even something like a personality, what happens when things go wrong? If you offend a true AGI, do you unleash a world-ending threat like Ultron, or do you just get a Roomba with a knife taped to it? That is the multi-trillion-dollar question that's going to define the future of AI.